Hi, Humblebees. It's me, Lauren from Tulips and Honey. And today I am going to be doing something a little bit different. Most of you know, if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, that Becca and I actually live really far away from each other, like over 1,000 miles away from each other. So, something that we have a problem with is that we don't always have the same schedule. And sometimes we really want to talk about certain issues, but we don't get a chance to because she's on a different time zone than I am. And also maybe she's in school or she's in class or I'm doing lessons with Kaylee. And so one of the things that we thought would be really helpful is if we started to do shorter videos where we are responding to certain issues um, one at a time. So I'm going to respond to an issue and then ask Becca a question, and then she's going to respond to that. And so that you have both of our opinions on an issue, or if we're asking one another some questions about that issue. And also you're going to be able to interact with us, and then we can interact with the things that you have to think about or what you think about these issues or other issues that maybe you would like for us to do a short video on. And this gets us into like current events a little bit easier than what regular podcasting is going to do. So this is only YouTube content. It's not going to be on the actual podcast. So that being said, there's a few things that I wanted to ask Becca about, and I haven't gotten the chance to because it's been Christmas and we've been so crazy busy. So the first thing that I was wondering about is the baby Olive situation, which is it happened a couple of weeks ago. And so it's a bit of a fallout now where it's been shown that Bethel actually hired Lindsay Lohan's crisis manager to help them like work through this PR, the public relations crisis guy. I don't know what they're actually called, but there you go. And so that sort of threw them back into the limelight because they released this information on a Friday, right at the end of the day, where most of the media sites and news media had already closed down. So it already looks sketchy. We know if you've ever followed politics, you know that that's something that people do when they don't want people to see this news event. So that happened. And what I want to ask you, Becca, is because you went through you went through this issue where you were in pain and people were saying things to you that were not biblical. And so what I'm wondering is, how do we reach these people who are now disenfranchised with the church? Because we saw in the middle of the century, whenever the Jehovah's Witnesses had that last prophecy, I think it was in the 70s, 1 million people left that church, and the majority of them never entered another church. Like 90 some odd percent of them are still atheistic or agnostic. And I've talked to some of them, actually. They're very, very sweet, kind people, the ones that I've talked to. But they're not interested in anything that has to do with religion. They don't want to be duped again. So how do we reach these people who saw this and have actually seen the fact that this man said something was going to happen? Obviously, he's a false prophet. It was clearly wrong, and it was very public. So what do we do for these people? How do we reach them? Because right now, a lot of the narrative happening in the Reformed camp is, "Ha, see, we told you this was a bad guy," which is true, and it is needed to be said that he is a false teacher. He is a wolf. I want to know, how do we better reach these people, and what would have been something that was not helpful to you whenever you were trying to come out of the Word of Faith movement? So the second thing I'm curious about is conferences. Conferences are a problem. So conferences can be fantastic. Like the Shepherd's Conference is coming up. It's going to be wonderful. Justin Peters has a conference coming up with Lindsay Davis. That's going to be really cool. But there are other conferences that are not so sound or biblical. So recently, it's been acknowledged that John Piper is joining a lot of heretics and false teachers at a conference. Last month, I believe it was, we learned that Alistair Begg was going to be joining a conference with like Beth Moore. And then, of course, now we see that there are men who we would say would be biblically sound who have backed out of a biblically sound conference. And so, Becca, you have more information about that. I'll throw that one over to you. What do we do with this? Like, are we supposed to just be cautious now with these men? Like, do we need to be on alert, or is this like not a problem, no big deal, just nothing to see here, move on? So yeah, I want to know what you think, Becca, and listeners, I want to know what you think as well about both of these issues that I just mentioned. We want to hear from you guys. What do you think about these? And there's one last issue that I really wanted to talk about that was actually brought up pretty recently. So I saw this on the social media. I can't remember now which one it was. And I'm losing I'm losing all of the information in my head as I'm thinking about this. Oh no. Why does my brain work this way? I should have written it down. This is why I need Becca and her outlines, because my brain just completely clicks off, and it just did. There was a third issue that I really wanted to ask Becca about, but I can't remember now. But it was okay. Finally, it came to me. Thank goodness. Okay. Over the Christmas holidays, many of us noticed that there was some weird stuff happening where people were saying that Jesus was the first refugee. Yeah, so my question, Becca, is have you heard of that? Where on earth, what on earth, why on earth is this nonsense even being like retweeted all over Twitter? It's nonsense. So have you heard about that, and what do you think about that? Listeners, what do you guys think? Last question. I have heard for several years now that there are people who can only sleep on one side of the bed. Okay, so I can sleep anywhere. It really doesn't matter. I can sleep in a chair, on a couch, on the floor, any sides of the bed, doesn't matter. So my husband has to sleep on the side of the bed where he can get out quickly. So if he's going to be anywhere, he can't be against a wall. He'll feel squished. He'll feel claustrophobic or trapped. So wherever we're at, wherever we go, I just let him sleep on whichever side it's got the most space, because I don't care where I sleep. But apparently this is a big deal. Like, this is a big problem. So my question is, Becca, listeners, do you have a side of the bed that you have to sleep on? What do you do if you marry somebody that also sleeps on that side of the bed? Do you have to is this why some people sleep in different rooms? I mean, I'm so concerned. I'm very curious. So let us know. And I can't wait to hear back from you, Becca. And we can't wait to hear back from all of you listeners. You guys are so great. And also, a couple of things real quick before I let you go. We do have a new group on Facebook. If you want to follow us on social media, that's a really good place to start. And yeah, that's it. Let us know if there's anything we can be praying for you guys. And you guys have a blessed day. Love y'all, humblebees. Bye.